Good evening, and thanks for joining us on the Stream Center. Always a pleasure to be with you guys every night. I'm Byron Wang.
And I'm Jordan Tracy. Great to be with you, filling in for Brian McElhatton today. We had a little bit of technical difficulties, but we are off to the races now, Byron. Should we just jump right into it?
Let's do it. We got a lot of headlines.
All right, let's get into the news flash tonight. The first one is a major story that broke today that we've been following. Parker Kingston, the wide receiver for BYU. It's a name you've probably heard throughout the football season. He is under arrest in Washington County, accused of rape. Now, the charge follows an investigation they had back in February of 2025, where the alleged victim, a then 20-year-old girl, reported a sexual assault to officers at St. George Regional Hospital. And BYU has put out a statement in response to this, saying that the university takes any allegation very seriously and will cooperate with law enforcement due to federal and university privacy laws and practices for students. The university will not provide any additional information. Now, Kingston is in custody, held without bail in Washington County. His first court appearance is actually scheduled for Friday, and the Washington County Attorney's Office is asking anybody who has any more information on this to give them a call. Obviously, a big story that we'll continue to follow, again, as a high-profile case there, Brian.
Absolutely. Okay, now to an update in the Corey Richins case. A jury for her upcoming trial has been selected. She is the Camas woman who is accused of fatally poisoning her husband back in 2022, then going on to write a children's book focusing on dealing with grief. After all of that, the images you just saw was actually her talking on our show, our morning show, about that book. The jury selection actually went faster than usual. Jordan, as you know, the defense, the prosecution, and the judge went back and forth about potentially changing the venue, considering the amount of media attention that surrounded this case. A judge declined that venue change, and they selected 12 jurors today, 8 of which will be the actual jurors, with 4 alternatives. The trial is scheduled for February 23rd, which is just shy of the 4-year mark that Eric Richins passed away.
We will have full coverage of that, of course, as that gets started. And finally here, the Utah State Auditor uncovered some issues when it comes to privacy data in the Department of Health and Human Services. An audit showed that sensitive personal data of over 2 million Utahns, including children and psychiatric patients, were at a significant risk. Now, the audit was initiated after a complaint by a whistleblower and found that DHHS has inadequate privacy incident response and procedures, also not good enough monitoring in place, leading to underreported privacy incidents and potential exposure to highly sensitive personal data. Now, the state auditor has provided their findings and recommendations to DHHS, and that will continue as they try to fix things there.
Absolutely, Jordan. Okay, let's talk about our top story of the day, one of our top stories at least, and that is the carbon monoxide poisoning of 3 disabled patients in West Valley City on Friday. Jordan, I spoke to the mother of one of those victims today, as you can imagine, absolutely devastated, saying this is the unthinkable for her family. But before we get into that story, Jordan, you were one of our first reporters there when the news was breaking. Can you kind of just set the stage on the basic facts before we get into it?
Yeah, absolutely. So we first learned from West Valley City Police that they were investigating an accidental carbon monoxide poisoning in that apartment complex. And at first, the first thought to go through your head is that there was an issue at an apartment. But then we quickly learned, after police continued their investigation, their first initial press conference on this, that this was actually in a car, in a garage, and that this driver had taken these 3 patients home with him as he took a lunch break and TV break for 3.5 hours, causing this awful tragedy.
Yeah, and we're learning more about the victims in this case. One of them, 25-year-old Colton Moser. I spoke to his mother, Wendy Rollins, today. Here's what she had to say.
I got a call that Colton was deceased, and I wasn't given any other details at the time.
It's the one phone call no mother ever wishes to answer. Tragically, it's the call Wendy Rollins took on Friday regarding her 25-year-old son, Colton Moser.
I assumed it must be a car accident. It must be some sort of tragic, unintentional accident. And then when I found out that 3 clients from this program were deceased, I knew that it must be something different.
It was. According to authorities, Moser was among the 3 disabled men found dead in a van parked inside a garage in a West Valley City apartment complex, while their caretaker, 25-year-old Isaiah Pulu, was inside his home watching TV and eating lunch before he returned to the van more than 3 hours later. Police say all 3 men died of carbon monoxide poisoning.
This care provider who was very familiar with the program, very familiar with them as clients, and knew the level of severity with their disabilities. They were dependent on him protecting them. So our hearts are really broken.
Moser was fully nonverbal and had severe autism. After attending various assisted living facilities in Utah for several years, he recently was enrolled into the Safe and Sound Services program and lived at one of their facilities. According to Rollins, the other 2 men who died were part of the same program.
Colton is only supposed to be transported from his home to the day program and then back to his home. And even while in that transport van, there's supposed to be more than 1 care provider in case there's any aggression during the transport.
The company's CEO told ABC4 News on Monday that Pulu's actions that day were not normal. On Wednesday, the company releasing a statement saying in part, "We are deeply heartbroken by the tragic loss of 3 cherished individuals who were in our care. Our hearts are with their families, friends, and all who love them. We are fully cooperating with all local law enforcement authorities and are carefully following every request, directive, and action required by DHHS, as well as all appropriate regulatory agencies. The Department of Health and Human Services now investigating the company, prohibiting them from admitting any new patients." Meantime, Colton's family started this GoFundMe for his funeral service.
I want more than anything justice because Colton had no voice. And I think if he could communicate something that he would want to come out of this, it would be that his community is more protected.
More protection. That's
I got a call.
That's what the mom was hoping for, protection, safety for her son that she looked out for 18 years before he started living at these various assisted living facilities. Important to mention that the driver, 25-year-old Isaiah Pulu, he was arrested on Friday. He faces several charges, including manslaughter and aggravated abuse of a vulnerable adult. There is a GoFundMe link on our website, abc4.com, for Colton. And you know, our prayers, our condolences, our hearts are with the family, not just of Colton's, but for all the families involved, Jordan.
Yeah, it's a story that baffled me immediately when the details came out. And
Yeah.
we'll continue to follow as those charges go through the legal system. But hey, one of these big national stories that we continue to follow is the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie, the mother of Today Show anchor Savannah Guthrie. And as this continues on, it just gets more and more mysterious. Now, the Pima County Sheriff's Department and FBI detained and questioned a man in the case last night, but he has since been released and is not facing any charges at this time. The man works as a delivery driver, says he may have delivered packages to Guthrie's neighborhood, but told all of our affiliates out there that his name is Carlos and was pulled over about an hour south of Tucson, detained for 6 hours. And he was kind of surprised about this. You listen to the interview. He said he didn't know who Savannah Guthrie even is, never heard of Nancy Guthrie, anything that was going on. And we actually have a soundbite here of what his experience was like.
The detectives got here. It was the FBI agent in Santa Cruz County. And they told me I was being detained for kidnapping. And I asked them, like, well, kidnapping of who? And they told me this lady, I don't know her name. And
Nancy Guthrie?
yeah, that's her.
They only said that they gave a tip that she was in my house, and I told them, you can go in and search my house. There's nobody there.
Jordan, all of this happening just hours after that surveillance footage that we just had up on our screens. If we could go ahead and pull it back up. Authorities released this surveillance footage showing a suspect, full beanie, clothing, gloves. You could only see his eyes a portion of his mouth in front of Nancy Guthrie's home, now kidnapped for 11 days since she's disappeared. And just hours later, after releasing that footage, they announced that somebody's been detained. You talked about that, Jordan. And people thought this may be promising, right? There are features you could see in his face. If we can, let's go ahead and pull up the surveillance footage. There it is. You could see his eyes in there, certain features, and then there's the authorities talking about the thousands of tips that come in. So unfortunately, they detained this person, didn't appear to be their guys. Now the FBI says they're doing extensive searches on the auxiliary roads in the Tucson area, searching the geography around Nancy Guthrie's home, and they're looking for key pieces of evidence that may have potentially been left behind by one of the kidnappers, kidnapper or kidnappers, I should say. In one of the surveillance footages, it showed him with that backpack, and another, it showed him without that backpack. So when you're talking about 11 days out, Jordan, I mean, you got to think, like, from the family's point of view, they have put out videos saying that they believe their mom is still out there. Of course, when you look at this from a law enforcement perspective, anything after the 48-hour mark, I mean, it becomes concerning when it comes to wanting to find the victim alive.
Especially with the health issues that you hear from about Nancy Guthrie and the medications she's required to be on in order to stay alive, quite frankly. So it's, that case continues to get more and more confusing and mysterious as it goes on.
And you talk about the confusion too. I mean, you add in the ransom notes have been coming in. They say this one was a spoof. They arrest someone for trying to come up with this hoax in California. And then you hear about this ransom note having a deadline, that deadline passing. And then, you just think there had to be a certain level of sophistication to get into Nancy's home, remove Nancy, and still not be caught 11 days after. So you have your law enforcement experts saying, well, look, if the intention was to kidnap Nancy to then exchange her for some monetary amount, okay, we've heard of various amounts, but we're not going to be talking about them here, then the latter half of that is to provide proof of life.
Yeah.
And so far, there's been no indication that any of these alleged, individuals who are sending these ransom notes have been able to prove that proof of life to the family or to authorities.
Yeah, definitely something that the whole nation is continuing to follow because it's top of mind for everybody and very, very mysterious.
Absolutely. Okay. Mysterious key word over in El Paso, isn't it? Their entire airspace was temporarily shut down today, Jordan. What was this about?
Yeah, it's over El Paso, Texas, and Santa Teresa, New Mexico. All the airspace is now reopened, but it was going to be closed for like 10 days is what they were saying initially. And the reasoning, an administration official telling ABC News that Mexican cartel drones breached U.S. airspace, and then the Department of War took action to disable the drones, which is what we're told completely unprecedented. Now, they had to shut down all flight operations because of this, and the main confusion here is apparently the reason the FAA made this action is because they didn't know what was going on. There was a kind of a communication breakdown between them and the Department of Homeland Security and the Department of War, the Defense Department. And that's why, as a preemptive measure, they didn't want to be flying blind here with the reports of these drones.
Right. And when we're talking about the airspace being completely shut down, it's not just commercial airplanes that it
medical
restricts. Go on, because that's important.
Medical evacuations, helicopters for medevac. El Paso is one of the largest cargo hubs as well. So it was commercial, it was medical, it was everything that was shut down, which causes a major issue. But they are reopened now, but they are telling people if you had flights in that area to make sure you double check what's going on.
And because there seems to be a lot of conflicting reports when you talk to the FAA versus what the Department of Defense is saying, it really calls into question what their correspondence looks like.
And the communication between the two.
Correct. Okay, Jordan, what do you say we go to a quick break?
Yeah, I can do that.
When we come back, I think we're going to be talking about baby pandas. How does that sound?
They're my favorite. We'll be right back.
Stick with us.
All right, Bayan. We got some good stuff here. Pandas in China, 29 of them making their TV debut to celebrate the Lunar New Year. These babies, look at them. They're big. They're real big.
It's crazy to think that when they're born, they're usually the length of a pencil.
Yeah.
And they could grow to actually be about 300 pounds or more.
And they don't hibernate.
No, they don't.
Fun
What
fact.
makes them so unique, unlike any other bear.
Yeah, they
Peaceful
just,
animals.
go down the mountain where it's warmer and chomp on bamboo.
Look how cute they are.
Which is what I do in the winter.
Yeah. Jordan, why don't you say we talk to our little baby panda? Our
Yeah.
ABC4 baby panda.
That's what they call him.
Down in southern Utah. There he is. Hey, he's got some black and white
There
there,
you
too.
go.
So
Yeah,
very fitting.
sure.
Baby panda Cannon Secrets. How you doing down there, brother?
Our sweet little baby panda.
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I don't know how to respond to that right now. We just got to jump into weather. I wasn't expecting that.
Sweet little baby
Let's
boy.
take a look at this black desert. Let's take a look at this black desert together. You can't put these two on a show together. Let me just tell you guys that. What are we doing here? But let's take a look at that black desert sky cam. We're seeing more pandas. Okay, well, who doesn't love a good panda? This black desert sky cam showed us the beautiful cloud coverage that we saw down here in southern Utah today. Up in Park City as well, too. We saw some snow happening up there on Park City Mountain, so that's a good sign. We're going to see more of that to continue. The satellite radar showing us some of those showers moving through, some of that rain in the valleys, and up on those mountaintops. We're seeing a little bit more snow up there. The resort totals for today, right now, we've got Snowbird about 9 inches, Alta at 8, Deer Valley 7, Sundance getting 3 inches. So pretty good totals there so far, but the futurecast showing us some of that wet weather moving down through southern Utah right now, parts of northern Utah. Going to continue to move out as we see here Thursday around 4 p.m. We're going to see some scattered showers throughout the state. Those will kind of disperse out, and then we're going to see another cell hit down here in the southeastern corner of the state near Lake Powell, all the way over into Monticello, Blanding, and Bluff, also getting some of that wet weather and continuing on off into Colorado before we do clear up there on Friday night at about 10 p.m. Tomorrow's forecast shows we've got some 40s and some 50s up through northern Utah, and then some 50s and some 60s blending down here in southern Utah. Let's take a look at that full week forecast here in St. George. We've got some showers through the next couple of days. Then we take a little bit of a break, see some sun there on Saturday and Sunday, and then some more showers coming as we move on into next week. Down here for the Wasatch Front, we're seeing a little bit of cloud coverage. We have some rain headed on into tomorrow. Then we do clear out there on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So taking a little bit of a break there for the weekend as we see those temperatures in the 40s and 50s there. And then on into next week, kind of the same thing happening down here in southern Utah as we are seeing in the Wasatch Front. We're going to see some more isolated showers. However, we will be seeing a little bit of snow as we move on into early half of next week as well there on Tuesday and Wednesday. But we'll track that and continue to track that. Guys, I want to toss it back to you guys because I want to bring you back in on this conversation.
Yeah. Sure.
You called me the panda.
Yeah, a sweet little baby panda.
You guys have some spirit. Let's hear you guys. Let's hear you guys. Come up for a spirit animal for each other.
Well, my wife already told me my spirit animal is a panda. I almost got a panda tattoo. Kung Fu Panda. Have you seen Kung Fu Panda? I almost got a Kung Fu Panda tattoo on my neck once.
On your neck?
Yeah, in my early 20s, but I'm glad I didn't. Be hard to have a job.
It was a good
like
call not to, since you're getting into TV.
I want to see the panda. I want to see the Kung Fu Panda.
It's on my Instagram. It was an adult Kung Fu Panda right here that was doing an upward kick, and there was a little baby Kung Fu Panda on his foot just resting. I know. Anyways,
we have to
better off to put that somewhere like under on like the side under your shirt, maybe not on the neck. So it's probably a bad call.
I still kind of want it now that I think of it, like with AI and like makeup, you could just cover that stuff up.
That is not where I expected any of this to go.
Hey, Cannon invited us to talk about baby panda again. So, I was like, well, all right, let's get into it.
We have to take another break while we discuss where this tattoo is going to go, but we'll be right back. On your neck?
Yeah, on my neck. I'll show you a picture. See, since we only got 30 seconds left, we're going to
Yeah.
go on with this. People thought I was playing. Look.
My
you think
goodness.
I wasn't being serious.
Would have been a
Yeah,
mistake.
it would have
Would have
been
been
a mistake.
a terrible
Jordan, how
mistake.
about you? Any tattoos?
No, my sister wants me to get like a sibling tat thing, but that's a commitment. It's going to be on your body forever.
It'll bring
and I
you
don't
guys
make enough
closer
money
together.
to ever get it off. You
True.
think on my salary I'm getting it
Later
burned
in
off?
life, you may want to. I agree. Night, guys. Thanks for joining us.